Mr Barroso, 3 years ago, your Commission, as part of the Troika, predicted that Greece would grow by 2.1% in 2012. In the real world, of course, we know that that was completely fallacious, and Greece, in fact, contracted by 6.4% in 2012. Now, this forecast sums up much of what's wrong in Europe today. Of course, the prediction was nonsense. Many people said at the time that it would be. Yet our leaders keep insisting on promising us things that they cannot deliver, guaranteeing us benefits and payments that have not been earned through productivity, with the bill, of course, being passed to our children and grandchildren. In Greece, the IMF confirms that the policies being pursued by the Troika there have been nothing short of disastrous. Youth unemployment is now at 58.3%. Surely, Commissioner Rehn, it is time to stop trying to blame everyone else, take some responsibility yourself and try and find a different course. Likewise, when it comes to the growing problem of youth unemployment, many people have mentioned it today, what is our answer? To once again promise what effectively we cannot deliver. Mr Swoboda, of course, has the right intentions when he talks about a youth guarantee. But how are we going to create all these extra new jobs? More taxes, more regulation, more Europe seems to be offered to us today. Socialists believe that governments can create jobs and growth. Well, they can't. This attitude is part of the reason for the current debt mountain that we have in many of our member states. The much vaunted European social model is failing to deliver its core objectives of providing employment and adequate social conditions. As the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, I think one of your members, Mr Swoboda, said in 2005, what type of social model is it that has 20 million people unemployed? I wonder what he'd say today that that figure has risen to 26 million people unemployed. So we need, of course, a completely new model in the EU, one based on freedom, based on liberalism, based on open markets and based on free trade. And instead of tackling the symptoms of our economic woes, let's tackle the causes. Instead of timid efforts to open up markets, we need bold and ambitious proposals. At present, every forward step on completing the single market or on signing a free trade agreement is countered by a backward step from the Commission's Socialist Affairs Directive in league with this Parliament's Unemployment Committee. Frankly, it is irresponsible to promise a job for every young person in Europe. What we can do is say that we will tear up the legislation that discourages work, that drives up energy prices, that ties entrepreneurs and businesses down in bureaucracy and which closes our markets. And we should also say that we will do what we can to cut the taxation that depresses growth in so many of our economies. And on the issue of taxation, I read at the weekend that the Commission is demanding that Spain increase VAT on food. I asked myself, what alternative reality does the Commission live in? People in Spain are trying to feed themselves, and the Commission are trying to make it harder for them. With such warped priorities, is it any wonder that in the latest polls, 72% of Spanish people no longer trust the EU? President, throughout history, socialist policies, centralised economies have failed. Economies based on personal freedom and responsibility have thrived. Socialism is all about promising the people things that can never be delivered, and we only have to look at France for our example. President Hollande was elected pretending that things could go on as normal, as if governments could somehow create jobs and wealth out of thin air, and workers can have limitless social protections if only we erect some kind of economic Maginot Line around Europe's borders. Well, of course, we know that he's been mugged by reality. French unemployment is now at its highest for 15 years. And yet, as other speakers have said, this weekend he told us that the crisis in Europe is now over, as if we needed further proof about how out of touch he is. So instead of more socialism, let's allow businesses to do what they do best, to create wealth. Let's stop trying to start a pointless trade war with China and instead seek to lead the world in opening up trade access. Let's be honest that free trade is about concentrated losses, but it's about dispersed gains, so in the long run everybody gains, even though one or two people may lose. So let's drop this futile effort to protect the uncompetitive French film industry in the US trade deal. President, let's start trusting people again to take responsibility for their own destinies. Thank you very much.